Welcome to the studio, Stephen.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Effective communication. There must be some key factors that ensure that in a marriage, in a relationship, you're effectively communicating. What are they? Yeah.
Communication is everything. It's how you start the relationship. You see a girl at a party, you see her in church, you walk up to her, you tell her your name, you introduce yourself. Communication is also how you take that to the next level when you ask her to marry you. And then the very act of getting married, it's communication. Okay. And then it's communication you use to sustain the relationship and keep it good and positive. It's communication that destroys it. Okay. So communication is everything. It's a big deal.
All right.
But there are three major things I see always coming into what kind of communication, whether it's positive or negative in a relationship. First is the character of the person. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And that's why sometimes you find someone says, that's not what I mean. I'm trying to say this, but the partner is experiencing something else, because when you communicate your heart.
Okay, so that was the first factor. So what are number 2 and 3?
Another big factor is emotional intelligence or emotional maturity. Okay. Now, anytime we experience an impulse, we receive it from the back of our head, the thyroid glands, and it comes to the limbic system. And then from the limbic system, it goes to the front side of the brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, which means every human being feels before they think. All right? We all do that. We feel before we think. Now, if you're not emotionally mature, you respond to impulses based on what you feel without thinking about it.
So you're saying there's probably a little break, take a break, think about it before reacting.
Sometimes it's 10 seconds. Sometimes it's 1 minute. Sometimes it's let me sleep over it. We'll talk about this later tonight. It's just the capacity to create that space, and then within that space to have a kind of self-talk that allows you to create a strategy for communicating, which creates a good or positive outcome. Okay. You talk about conflict. Every time there's a conflict, it can never, become a big deal based on what the person who instigated it does. Okay. It's always the reaction.
So we've covered 2 of the major factors. Now, I'm wondering what that final one, it feels like it's going to be a big one.
It's a big one. Okay. It's skill.
Skill?
Yes. You can be a good person, you can be emotionally mature, but you may just not know how to communicate. Okay. For example, I tell men, you have to understand women, you have to understand your woman.
What's the advice you give people who are not effectively communicating as of right now?
Number 1, always rule out prejudice. Okay. When you're talking to your wife, this is someone who married you. You're talking to your husband. I don't think anybody ever goes to the altar and says, I will marry this woman, and is determined, I'm going to make your life miserable. Okay. So when we're talking, rule out prejudice. Rule out the fact that this is my wife, she loves me. Okay. Have that mental discipline to say that she may be shouting, she may be screaming, but something is wrong, but she loves me. Okay. It's good. She's trying to create something. At the end of the day, you find out that both of you want the same thing. It's just the approach. But once you rule out the fact that she's not prejudiced against me, you can actually create a process where you can solve the problem. Yeah. Another key thing is to be your spouse's advocate, which is there will always be arguments in your head saying she's trying, she's proud. You have to defend her and say, no, you believe the best in her.
You should understand that the person is your teammate as opposed to
that you're on the same side. She's not your enemy. Okay. Once you have that locked down in your mind, you probably can solve every other problem.